Let me see if my volume is good. That's better. I got candles burning. I got moonlighting. I used to watch that show with my mom when I was little. Before doing your reading, I was thinking, well, one, I had to pour, melted water or water that was, in its, original state into frozen water to get the frozen water to kind of like get to a point where I could drink it. So it was kind of like the temperance card there too, trying to work things out. Oh, pardon me. 111. Well, it wasn't that. So here I go. This is definitely yours here, right? I'm gonna keep it because I shuffled it earlier and I was like, don't cut it, just keep it like it is. And I'm gonna cut it now, okay? Wow, okay. Yep, definitely for you. Because at the bottom of the deck after I did my shuffle, it was the King of Cups, which is you. And then, at the bottom of the deck, I've seen it. Then I'm gonna let you know what it is. Okay. Here's your challenge. And I'm using the Morgan Grill Tarot deck. Hi, Pisces. I just laid the spread out. I shuffled it before I started recording, but I didn't cut it. So I cut it, and here they are laid out. The card that's at the bottom of the deck. Pisces, gang, gang. My sun is in my 12th. The first card, the world. So this is a 3. This is talking about, I would say this 21, right? Multiplicity, but then it's multiplicity that comes from a grounded place, right? From a place of positive practice and habit and things like that. There's work that has been done, or there's work that has to be done. This is also karma because this is the planet Saturn, right? This could also be Sagittarius, so it could have something to do with travel, you know what I mean? Or learning through traveling, or traveling and learning. This could also have to do with just kind of movement, forward, because it kind of talks about cycles and things ending, right? Completion, the world is that. But then it's also talking about this completion actually being probably a good thing, right? And there was a lot of work that had to be done to get to this completion because you have all of the fixed signs here. You're talking about perspective and understanding, and then you're talking about grounded energy, and then you're talking about active energy, and then you're talking about transformative energy. So there are all of these different phases that I feel like you have gone through, or all of these different phases that you have been going through, or you have that have been a part of your reality, you know what I mean, a process as well. It's a major process, and it's definitely a process of like an unfolding, or like a page turning over. I feel like a page is about to turn for you, perhaps. This is kind of graceful too. You're kind of like allowing this thing to happen because this is a process that is actually showing you how you have grown, because the world is talking about growth as well. It's talking about your physical body too, you know what I mean? You might be moving, or you might be changing, or something like that might be happening. um, Saturn rules the 10th house, which is where we have Saturn right now in Capricorn, and we also have Pluto there. But your 10th house is actually Sagittarius. So I would say that if Pisces is your rising, I guess that Sagittarius is your 10th house, into just kind of like your world and how you govern your life, and the effort that you put into the things that you want. And Sagittarius is the house of consumption as well. So maybe you bit off more than you could chew with something, or maybe you had to hold yourself accountable with the responsibilities that were placed upon you in terms of this, right? In terms of this lesson, in terms of learning, and also kind of like going through all of these different phases, right? It was all different things, you know what I mean? Just in your head and your reality, and how you were behaving, what you were doing, and also just kind of like how you were affecting things from an emotional place, right? Because we did have like the eclipse in Cancer, which opposes you. And yeah, I'm going very far into this, but let me just go into the first card to flip over. There we go. Look, it's you, right? And it is talking about completion, and it is talking about your mind, and it is talking about realities, and it is talking about things that you can't control, right? So there are things within your karma, right? Your karmic path, or your karmic phases, the phases that you go through in your karmic cycles. I'm gonna have to blow those candles out at some point. That sort of the time is very important here, right? And it's saying that something is over, and it's also kind of like just staying with something, just because it may make you feel powerful, or there might be an element of status to something that you might be attaching yourself to, or that you might be attached to, that you don't necessarily need. You know what I mean? It's just in your mind that it's bringing you something, or it's providing you with something, but you don't necessarily need that thing. You know what I mean? And it's the Eight of Cups, so it is talking about loss, and it's talking about regret, and it's talking about pain, and it's also talking about cleansing and healing for sure. It's talking about detoxification, a need to detox from something. It could be an intimate partnership, right? Or how an intimate partnership has affected you emotionally over time, because the eighth house is talking about intimate partnerships, because the second house, which is opposing the eighth house, is talking about commitments. So it's saying that you may not need to commit to this thing that might it's coming to a conclusion that something, yeah, that's it. There's another side to this. There's a side to this that you have to show yourself so that you can be more encouraged, right? You need to be more encouraged, I'm getting. And you also need to see where your power lies emotionally, how you can take control over your own emotional state. You know what I mean? And not allow, maybe the loss of something to actually put you in an emotional state. You know what I mean? Because then you won't be able to kind of deal with it. Anyway, okay, this is a three that's crossing you. So it is talking about, what is that? This is Sun in Aries, right? And the sun lives there. The sun wants to be there. And this is talking about, your identity in a way that you might do things, or the way that you might be, that is that you might be changing yourself. That's the challenge, right? Because this is a three, right? It's talking about having things come in, right? And things changing, because, when people say having your ships come in, that's definitely looking forward to a change, right? Because the threes are something that we can kind of look forward to, because it's within a process of coming into completion or moving towards to completion. You know what I mean? The challenge was that you probably thought, right, because it's a three, Mercury, you probably thought that you needed something because it's a three, right, to complete you, but it's saying you probably don't need that thing to complete you, right? Walking away from that thing that you felt like might have completed you. And then this three is also talking about what can you do about your mental state to make it better for you. How can you benefit from this? Because the third house is talking about how you can benefit. Not the third house. The Empress is talking about how you can benefit from something. But the third house is talking about how you can benefit from communication. You know what I mean? And this is benefiting from something if you're waiting for your ships to come in, but then it's also a three, so it's related to the third house. So it's benefiting from communication and actively trying to do that. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, if you are willing, it's almost like somebody's back is turned right now, too. This is kind of like a back being turned. This is also a back being turned. You know what I mean? So somebody might be feeling like they might want to turn their back on something. Somebody might be feeling like somebody might have turned their back on communication, or somebody might have cut themselves off from communicating, right? emotionally shut down, right? Because the threes are talking about, the Empress energy as well. And then this is Pisces energy right there that's talking about emotionally shutting down over time. I know y'all hear me, right? Okay, so in this sun position, you have the Ace of Swords, and this is talking about the truth of where you are now, right? Because the sun is talking about where you are now, and this is the sun position. So this is saying there's a new idea, there's a new focus, there's a change of your mind, right? You might be changing your mind about something, and it's just you might even be refocusing, or there might just be like the awareness of something that is being brought to your attention, right? By communication or just mentally. You might be thinking about something. You have a new thought, you have a change of mind. This is also perspective. You are seeing a big picture, right? And that big picture is allowing you to kind of like bring yourself to a new place in your mind, in your head, and in your spirit. This is kind of like a refreshing of spirit, and this is also kind of like cutting, right? It's not upside down, but the Ace of Swords is talking about maybe like cutting something or something being cut or maybe something being been made. It's not a two, it's an ace, right? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when you when you take the two and you make a decision between one and the other, or one or the other comes out of something, then it's kind of like, anyway, you know what I'm getting to. This is communication, it's choices, it's thought patterns, and it's kind of like you're just at the beginning stage of like newness, right? In terms of like in terms of like definitely, perhaps. And this is also acting, right? It's acting on a thought. So if you're thinking about something, then you're probably doing it, or you're going to do it. It might even have to do with a comfort level that you might be feeling in an environment that you live in, perhaps. This could even have to do with like shared resources in some kind of sense. You know what I mean? Things might be changing in terms of that. In the moon position, you have another eight. This is the Eight of Pentacles. So this is talking about the power to produce or the power to make. And then it's also, it's Mercury. No, it's Sun in Virgo. Okay, so the Sun is in Virgo right now, which is opposing you. So this could be saying that you might be feeling some opposition, or oppression, perhaps. Or there might be some opposition at work, or you might just be feeling like work is taking up a lot of your time, right? And you're also going through some kind of like emotional process while work is taking up your time. Or you might be feeling like there's these cycles of work, like you might be working a lot, or you might be feeling like you need to work more, right? For something, right? For something that you might be feeling responsible for, right? This is kind of like an authoritative card too. So maybe you might be gaining authority in work, because the moon is also related to work. Um, it also is related to hidden things. So there could be some hidden things in terms of work for some of you guys. Um, it's a lot of hard work as well for you. It's the strength and the courage to do your work for some of you out there who are actually, like working in like the healing arts or something like that, because it is an eight in the eighth house. It's kind of like, work is helping you get through something emotionally, right? So you're kind of like putting a lot of energy into work, just so you can like stay focused on something positive, right? Because it's almost like the Eight of Pentacles is like the outside, right? The eight, that external part, but then it's also internal, right? And the moon is what's actually inside of you, because this is the moon position. But like the earth part is like the show that's going on outside, and the moon is like your actual experience, right? Because you know something, because you have this Ace of Swords here, and what it is, it's kind of like opposing you, and it's kind of like energy that you don't really want to have to deal with. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. For some of you guys, but not for all of you. But this is kind of like a general reading. So I'm just kind of like going through whatever it is that I'm saying and whatever is coming to me. Okay. So now I'm gonna go to the past. Okay, the magician, right? The truth and clarity, right? What am I working with here? What am I dealing with here? What am I going to do with what I'm dealing with here? And then you have the magician here that's just kind of like enhancing the Ace of Swords. So there's a new truth, right? You have to figure out what to do with this new truth, right? Or you have to trust in something. So it's saying believe in something too. Ace of Swords is saying believe in yourself, right? Because the Ace of Swords is the belief, right? Be, right? The Ace is be, right? The magician, to be. I am whatever it is I say that I am, and I am what I tell you I am too, right? Because magicians are usually, they kind of like fool us, right? They can kind of like, it's like trickery, that type of thing. Okay, they kind of like make us more aware where we're paying more attention. So something, it's like somebody might be acting or doing something to get your attention, or you might be doing something to get somebody's attention. Cross watchers out there, you know what I'm talking about. Um, and then this is also just like understanding what to do with what you actually have in front of you. You know what I mean? Making the best of the situation, because the magician is Mercury, and Mercury is going to try to make the best of the situation. What's the connection that I can get out of doing this? You know what I mean? Or what? How can I connect to this in a positive way? Right? And Mercury is throughout this. So there's some communication definitely that needs to happen, because Mercury is related to the eighth in terms of like, the tree of life, right? I think it's like related to the eighth place on the tree of life. Then you have the Ace of Swords, which is first, right? Bam, Mercury. Mercury is the first planet from the sun, and Mercury esoterically rules Aries, which is the first sign. Okay, so here we go with Mercury again, and then there's the Magician there, number one, Mercury, and then there's another eight here. That's also related to Mercury and where it sits on the tree of life. And then you have a three here. Communication is very important right now, and you could be trying to communicate with somebody, or there could be difficulties communicating, or you might just be feeling like you are. I'm gonna blow this candle out now. Or you could just be feeling like there's like communication that is just going to feel like at odds, right? Because the world is like Saturn, and that's like difficulties, right? And restraint. So there could be somebody who might be experiencing the difficulties within an environment. So there's some restraint there. There's like a holding back there. You know what I mean? Um, we experience different obstacles within all of the phases that we have. Hi. We experience different obstacles within all of the phases that we go through when we're making changes and things are sort of like happening, the challenges that we face, the hurdles that we have to jump, the things that we have to deal with. Saturn gives us things that we actually have to deal with. We can't like be like, actually, can I return this and have that? You know what I mean? There are like no receipts. There's no returns with Saturn. It's kind of like, and Saturn, I think Saturn rules Capricorn exoterically and esoterically. And I was joking with my friend Dale. Some of you guys might know him today, and I was like, it's funny because Saturn is going to get you coming and going. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to do this whether you like it or not, even if, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's all the fixed signs too, right? I'm just moving this a little bit because it's not sensitive. I'm going to leave. Right. All right, so let's look at your anxieties, which are going to be related to your moon. You know what I mean? Your anxieties are the Hermit, Virgo, right? Look, I said it's going to be related to your moon, and you got Sun and Virgo in your moon position, and then your anxieties are the Hermit. So you're having anxieties about going in and actually expressing outwardly your inner truth, because it's a nine, right? And it's related to the moon, like I said before, right? And the Hermit is related to the moon because esoterically, the moon rules Virgo, and Virgo is talking about processes and natural processes. And this is kind of like just going in spiritually so you can get a little bit closer to God, right? And I knew this card was going to come up in your reading because I was lighting all these candles before, and it's just funny that I blew that candle out, and then right when I blew it out, the Hermit came up with another light. You know what I mean? So even if you feel like the light may go out on something, you know what I mean? Or even if you feel like a light goes out somewhere else, right? Or even if the sun goes down on something, the sun is always going to come up somewhere else. But it's kind of like up to you to go inward inside to see where that light is. It's like you are the bringer of hope, right? You know what I mean? To you. So you have to go in and find something within yourself that you feel like is worthy, you know what I mean, of you appreciating it, right? Because it's a nine, and the nines do want to be appreciated because it's being of service, right? It's being of service to yourself. It's like your inner self, your moon, right? That deep part of you that your subconscious is being of service to you. You just have to go inward to look at it because it's not something in the external. It hasn't been like physically manifested because it actually is, it's manifested physically within you because you exist. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's God energy too, because it kind of like, Virgo is like almost kind of like that God energy of things that just are perfect because they are, but there is still process to everything, but you may not understand the process because it's organized chaos. You know what I mean? It's like that type of thing. That's how Virgo is. And Pisces, your sign, it's that's the sign that actually is the closest to God. You know what I mean? Because it's like because Neptune is so far out, and then it's also unconditional love, and it's compassion, and those are all of things that are very godly, you know what I mean? But then when you look at the symbol or the glyph for Virgo, there's actually that fish on the little M, right? So it's kind of like that Christianity symbol of the fish that you used to see on people's cars in the 90s and maybe even the 80s. But you know what I'm talking about. So Virgo is really just saying you have to see both sides of a situation here too. You can't just be looking at your side, right? Because if you're just critical of one side, then it's like you're not even seeing your side, right? You're not even going to be able to see your side because you're so focused on the external. So look within yourself to discover what your truths are so that you can get closer to those truths, right? You can be closer to those goals. You can actually live your purest, truest self. You know what I mean? You have anxieties of that. It's like the focus of the growth. It's almost like you're afraid of the growth because you're going to discover some things inside that actually aren't perfect, right? Because Virgo isn't perfect, and you're not perfect, but it's kind of like escaping outwardly, or even I'm not even gonna go there because no Neptune cards came up, but the first card that came up was Saturn and Pisces. So I mean there could be some kind of escapism going on here. Movement forward, right? Action, actively moving, actively going forward. This could be something in the home or the family. You know what I mean? The commitment, right? Making choices based on that commitment. And it's also confidence, right? Mars is saying it's trying to put energy into you to move forward confidently, right? This is also kind of like, I was talking about the moon in the moon position in this reading having an earth card in it, which is opposition already. You know what I mean? Because Pisces is very moony and and moody, and Virgo is very earthy, right? So it's kind of like the Earth and the Moon, and then the Sun is there because it's an 8, because it's related to the Strength card, which is Leo. Anyway, we're in the season right now, and it's talking about the opposition that you might be feeling. And I was talking about escapism, right? And I was like, I'm not even going to go into it, the escapism. But this is escapism, right? Leaving, going, moving forward. I'm escaping. I'm leaving this place of feeling not good enough, or I'm leaving this place of not feeling like myself. I mean, it is cardinal. You know what I mean? So it's talking about you relating to the experience in a positive way. Like I said, looking at that table, looking at what's on the magician's table, and saying, what can I do with this that I'm seeing here? This truth, this reality, right? It's kind of like I'm going within. Mercury is very much in this reading. The only card that really doesn't have any Mercury attached to it would be like the Chariot. You know what I mean? Because it's a 7, right? But this is talking about phases, right? It's related to the moon. It's talking about wisdom too, right? You've gained this wisdom to move forward, or you're actually gaining wisdom right now to move forward. You know what I mean? Or maybe it was the wisdom that you gained from Saturn with the Saturn and Pisces card here, right? The Eight of Cups, which is a fellow water energy that trines Cancer, right? And the Cancer, the trine, the Mercury retrogrades are happening in water signs this year. And we've had the one in Cancer, right? We've had the one in Pisces, we've had the one in Cancer, but we haven't had the one in Scorpio yet. So we're still waiting on that one to come in like October, November, right? So there is going to be some cleansing, and there is going to be some work that's going to be done emotionally, right, to handle your emotions, right, to being the authority over your emotions, and being the one that actually does do the cleanup work, right, do the work that it takes to actually heal, right, from those things that we feel like we may have experienced that brought some sort of misunderstanding, or you felt like you were just like in the wrong place at the right time, or maybe you just felt like it wasn't the right time for something, you know or maybe something just expired, something just kind of like went past its expiration date, or it met its potential, right? Or it's sort of like it already peaked. You know what I mean? Because this is Saturn, and this is, you can see the peaks there. You know what I mean? Right? And that moon phase is waning, not waxing. But this is a really good card, the Eight of Pentacles, because it's a very powerful card, right? Because it it's saying that you are doing it, right? There's a lot of intention and purpose here with this card. And it's like the instinct is to do this, right? So it could be that you're making the right decisions or the right decisions were made. I'm not even saying that. Okay. All right. Relationship position, your Venus position. Honey, this is very deep. And that's why I'm playing this like this music. You got the death card in your Venus position. So this could be like, accepting the end of a relationship or accepting the end of something that may have brought you pleasure or comfort, because this is a Venus position that has a 4 in it, right? And Venus is either Taurus, which is talking about home environments, or things that bring you comfort. That freezing messed up everything. What freezing? Did the video freeze? I didn't see it freeze at all. Let me know. Um, it did? How could that be? I didn't even see it freeze on this side. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. But this is the Venus position, and it's talking about an ending happening. You know what I mean? It's talking about a natural ending, not being intimidated by that ending, allowing it to happen naturally, allowing it to occur naturally, because there's something more powerful that's at work here that you can't control in terms of, the relationship, right? Because it's in the Venus position. I'm just saying, right? And this is talking about spiritual cleansing, it's talking about detoxing from a relationship or taking out that which was toxic in a relationship, which is the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if the video froze, you guys. I feel like I would have known because it always shows me and prompts me on this end. Um, Here we go. So now I'm going to flip over the cards that are your future cards, your futuristic cards, right? We have the outcome and the energy moving forward. We have the future, and then we also have the ascendant position, which is what we are seeing you step into, right? Really, what you're trying to move towards, what's actually going to help you, what's going to benefit you the most, right? Because this is the ascendant is like something that you should do, right? Because it's like the first house. That's what we're thinking about, right? Especially for you Pisces out there, that's the first house, right? Or rising, yeah. But this is sun, moon, or rising, yeah. Or if you have your sun in your 12th house, you could also even watch this. There might be something there for you. But let's look at the future position first. King of Rods. So this is fixed fire. This is Leo. So this person is looking backwards towards all of this stuff, right? This is kind of like someone that isn't changing in their intentions and what they want to do. Like I was saying, Jupiter is in Sagittarius, which is in your 10th house, you know what I mean? So that is talking about like authority as well. Anyway, this could be a Leo, it could be a Sag, it could be a what's the other one? Aries, you know. But this is a person for sure, Pisces, and it's a fiery energy. And if I were to choose one, it would be Leo because it is fixed fire, and this could be a male or a female. Okay, this is someone that is kind of like fixed in their potential and what they feel like they want to do and they can do, right? Because Leo is ruled by the sun, and then it also has to do with Pluto as well. Pluto, I believe, is like is exalted there or something like that. I have a book that I've been reading, but Pluto is very significant to Leo, right? Because the sun is power, right, and Pluto is power. Pluto is basically opposing the sun because the sun. Yes, you may get a reading, and email providencetarotkendrick at gmail.com for that reading, and we'll definitely start to converse and get that conversation going, the dialogue, okay? Also follow me on Instagram, Providence Tarot, and of course you're here, so you know it's Providence Tarot. I'm also there individually, right? My personal account is NYC Kendrick. But there's a fire sign here that is looking at a lot of everything, examining things, just kind of like really wanting to do what it is that they want to do. You know what I mean? And they are standing in that belief in oneself, right? Um, for sure. Now, let me go ahead and flip over the card that is the energy moving forward. This is good, right? Hi, Toronto, beautiful city. Brooklyn Heights. Just kidding, but not. So, in your energy moving forward, Pisces, you've got Mars in Pisces, right? So, this is putting energy back into yourself, putting focus back into yourself, believing in yourself and your reality because it's a 10, so it's closing out something. It's closing out cycles within a relationship, and it's also kind of like you might be sacrificing something or you might be submitting to a feeling that you've been having, right? And it's just kind of like changing from one phase to another. You're going from one reality to the next. It is a little bit confusing with Neptune being here, right? And the dispositing planet to Aries or Mars. Mars is the dispositing planet to Aries, right? And that's your second house. So this is kind of like going into, you know, um, a new phase. It's like the next phase, right? And this is talking about a next phase being a 10, which reduces to a 1, which says, okay, the ending of that phase, and now you're going into the next phase. And we're bringing focus onto, clearing things out emotionally or because of the sacrifices or the submissions that you have made, right? Then you're going to feel more like renewed or something because this is a renewed sense of feeling, right? But then it's also growth. It's emotional growth, because Mars is putting energy into the emotional growth, right? It's also forgiveness, right? Definitely forgiveness, and it's being able to console oneself, right? And that's what I was talking about with this Hermit card, because you have them bookending here. You have the Hermit, and then you have 10 of Cups, which is Virgo. I mean Pisces and Virgo. And we just had a new moon in Virgo, and now we're about to have a full moon in Pisces. You know what I mean? Your full moon is coming up on like the 14th or something like that. So let's look at that, and that's going to be like conjunct Neptune. So there could be some things, right? Be careful of what you do around that time. Don't get too drunk. Don't do a lot of drugs. Don't do any drugs. You know what I mean? Unless you're doing a jewel, you having a little bit of cannabis. You out there in California. You might be in Vegas somewhere where they're doing it. Um, Yeah, but just be careful with the potency of wanting to escape from something, right? That might be overwhelming you emotionally because you can't necessarily escape from something that is actually always going to be there because it's part of your karma, like I was talking about before, with Saturn being the first thing that we looked at the very beginning of your reading at the bottom of the deck, right? And then the first card that came up with Saturn and Pisces. So Saturn, 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 Saturn. What's going on with Capricorn? You know? Now let's go ahead and look at and Virgo too, and Taurus as well. What's going on with all of them? Yeah. Your last card. Is it frozen, you guys? I'm looking at myself and I see me frozen, and you guys told me I was frozen before, but I don't. I see that the clock is still going. I can go keep going with this card. Just let me know. Type something. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So that's your man sign, Capricorn. Okay, look, what's going on with Capricorn? Okay, I am frozen. Oh my goodness. Okay, whatever. I'm frozen right now. I'm gonna keep going because this is the last card. I'm not gonna stop the video, so just keep listening. But the last card that you got, we're getting you to step into is the Knight of Rods. You know what I mean? So this is, this is kind of like sexual energy. It's kind of sexuality, and this is the impulse for that type of energy. It's also travel and moving forward. This could be like intimidated by someone's sexuality, or you could just be feeling sexually intimidated right now. You might just be wanting to move forward restlessly with something. You might even be feeling restless in terms of like how you're going to move forward, or a situation, doing that. It's also getting away from something, right? Because, like I said, escapism, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, just like Pisces is, and Jupiter does like to escape. So, this could just be talking about, venturing off, doing things on your own, right? Because Sagittarius is very like, kind of like a loner, right? It just does what it feels like going off and doing. So, you could just be feeling like this. You just want to kind of like do your own thing. And that's fine too. You probably just wanted to do your own thing anyway. You know what I mean? Because this is mutable. So this is also changeable. Your feelings could change about what you want to do, and that's also an issue too when you're dealing with feelings, and when you might be dealing with other people, and we're trying to find some kind of sense of security, right? When things are changing a lot. Um, but this is also Sagittarius. It's Jupiter being there, squaring Neptune. So when this full moon comes around, Jupiter's going to be there, Neptune's going to be there. They're both kind of like escapists, right? So, and then, maybe that's what I should name name this video. But looking at where you stand is like, okay, but looking at where you stand is kind of like, maybe that's the point where you want to escape from, where you stand. You know what I mean? I know. They said that it is frozen, yeah. Anyway, I think that I'm going to be pretty much leaving it here. But this is saying, focus on what your goals are, and focus on what it is that you're trying to get done. You know what I mean? And maybe you are being a little bit selfish, but it's saying like maybe that's something that you needed to be anyways, or maybe it's something that you needed to do to learn what it is that you learned. You know what I mean? Or somebody else is being selfish. Maybe this fire sign is being selfish. You know what I mean? Because it's like the King of Rods is looking into the reading. I'm picking up the cards. Look, like you can see them because it's frozen. Look. So, anyway. That's going to be it. Let's close this out. But it is talking about completion and new beginnings, and it's talking about, travel. It's talking about, learning lessons, right? That might have been a little bit harsh. It's talking about letting go of things that you probably held onto for too long. Then it's also talking about moving forward confidently and letting something in naturally. It's, there's some people that are going to change what it is that they want to do. Two people here, because you got the Knight of Rods, which is any fire sign, but it's significantly Sagittarius, and it could be a little bit of Scorpio there too. So there might be some Scorpio energy. That's also might be some Cancer energy involved, because it's 1/3 of the sign that comes before it, right? And the Cancer here is in the Mars position, so you might be dealing with somebody that's in, with Cancer, that type of thing. Or it could be Mars in a water sign. Oh my God! And the water just moved. The ice just moved in the bottle that it was in. Scorpio is contained water, and it's frozen. It's Pluto, and it's all that. And it's transformation. Oh my gosh. So yeah, there's a lot going on here with fire and water, right? There's a little bit of Earth here that's trying to like maintain something or keep something of substance, right? Or something that it feels like is of substance. Um, no twos though. No twos though. You know, no twos at all. You got some eights, major arcanas, court cards, major arcanas, court cards. You got some eights. You got 10. So Mars is significant here because we're talking about the eighth house, which is Scorpio, and then we're talking about the 10th house, which is Capricorn, right? And then we're talking about the first house with this Aries energy from the Magician. Well, that's really Mercury, but you know what I mean. The first house is Aries, and the Ace of Swords, that's Aries too, and Aries is esoterically ruled by Mercury, right? We got it from the Eight of Pentacles, but then it's also still trining this energy of Saturn being in Capricorn. So it's saying that it's your karma is actually testing you and it's teaching you, but you're getting something out of it. You just have to be willing to open your eyes and see. Maybe that's why this video is called Look at Where You Stand, because you have to open your eyes and see where you're benefiting from this karma, from these growing up phases. Saturn might be very significant for some of you right now. Oh, okay. All right. You almost what? What happened? I'm glad y'all are still watching, thankfully. Let me go ahead and end because I'm supposed to be going downtown, okay? I will see and talk to you all later. If you'd like to book a reading with me, email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. I'm going to have to do like a catch-up update video. You're welcome. Undoing, right? Undoing. So this Mars and Pisces could be undoing something. The Death card definitely undoing. Anyway, look at where you stand and appreciate where you stand, darling, because you are where you are, right? All right. Bye. Closing out the energy of this reading. All right. Love you guys, Pisces.